Today, you still have a real chance to turn your dreams into reality, to shape yourself into exactly what you aspire to be, no matter who you are or where you begin from. This is why we should be doing everything within our power to take full advantage of the opportunities that have been granted to us. But at the same time, I also say be cautious, or perhaps even beware, because the things that truly matter can sometimes become buried beneath everything else. The things that count the most can be smothered under layers of shiny exteriors, and what you have might start to feel less important than who you are. I'm talking about character now, the ability to inspire yourself, the quality that qualifies you, the one that grants you the right and makes you deserving of leading others. Do you feel that many people are succeeding these days without having developed their character strongly? It does seem that way to me sometimes, but I believe some very positive signs are starting to show up. We're beginning to realize that we must remember what brought us this far if we ever want to move forward. I think one of the clearest distinctions between people is the small percentage who take the time to look up words in the dictionary and the vast majority who don't. I looked up the word character in the dictionary, learned about its origin, and then sat quietly for a moment, realizing that in this case, the origin of the word pretty much sums it up. Character is derived from the Greek word for chisel. And of course, a chisel is a sharp steel tool used to carve a sculpture out of something hard like granite or marble. It's also used to strip away excess material, stripping away what's unnecessary to reveal the core of the thing that truly matters. You have to chisel your character from the raw material of who you are, just as a sculptor must create a statue. The raw material is always there. Everything that happens to you, whether good or bad, presents an opportunity for developing your character. Character isn't about other people. It doesn't involve having power over others, getting them to follow you, or winning their favor. Character is something you possess and embody. You could be stranded on a desert island and your character would still matter. In fact, it would likely be even more important in that situation, but charisma. Charisma wouldn't do you any good at all. Charisma requires the presence of others, while character is about you. It is the person you are after you've stripped away all the unnecessary layers to reveal what's underneath. A person of character looks inward for the true source of inspiration and strength. Powerful personalities often resist delegating authority, but it takes true character for a leader to refrain from making themselves the indispensable center of an organization. People of character are often beloved by those around them, but they make it clear that their first love is the truth, even if it hurts. Character is the result of hundreds of decisions you make, choices that gradually transform who you are at any given moment into who you want to become. Without this decision-making process, you'll still be a person, you'll still be alive, but you may have a personality rather than a real character. To me, that's something entirely different. Character isn't something you're born with, something unchangeable like your fingerprints. It's something you weren't born with, and you must take full responsibility for shaping it. You might not be able to cross the Rocky Mountains in a covered wagon, but you can still create a better life for yourself by crossing the mountains of your soul. And that perhaps is an even greater challenge. There was once a joke about football teams that lost every game. The coach would say, "We built a lot of character this year, didn't we?" As if character were something you settle for when you don't achieve what you truly wanted, or as if character somehow develops automatically from hardship. I don't believe that. I don't think adversity alone builds character, and I certainly don't think success erodes it. You build character by how you respond to whatever life throws your way, whether you're winning every game, losing every game, getting rich, or struggling through tough times. You build character from certain qualities you must intentionally cultivate and nourish within yourself, just like you plant and water a seed or gather wood and build a fire. You must look for those qualities within your heart and gut. You must chisel away at yourself to find them, just as a sculptor chisels away at rock to reveal a statue that once existed only in the imagination. The truly incredible thing about character is that if you're sincerely dedicated to becoming the person you want to be, you won't only create these qualities, you'll strengthen them and multiply them, even as you draw upon them every single day of your life. Since ancient times, philosophers have regarded this quality as the foundation of all genuine achievement. I'm talking about courage. A truly courageous person isn't someone who never feels fear. It's someone who fears the right things at the right times and in the right way. Now, keeping in mind that a courageous person is not someone who never experiences fear, but who fears the right things at the right times and in the right way, let's reflect on whether the fears we face fit that definition. I think that if we look a little deeper, we'll find that what really frightens people in these situations is the idea of being helpless. They fear placing their trust in someone or something, only to have that trust betrayed, leaving them powerless to do anything. But remember, you're never truly helpless. The feeling of helplessness, or the fear that you might be helpless if certain things happen, is something we should be afraid of and should refuse to accept. You're never simply a victim of circumstance. No matter what occurs, there are always options available to you that can help you get back on track. It takes courage to recognize this because it means accepting responsibility for your future. But I would argue that we should take on this responsibility because no one else is going to do it for us, no matter what we've been led to believe. I want to emphasize that the fear of helplessness, of being victimized or tossed about by the winds of fate like a leaf off a tree, is at the core of most fear. But is that really a legitimate way to view things? To me, it's like being afraid of the dark, in which case the best thing to do is to get out of bed and turn on the light. After all, the people who built this country didn't feel helpless when they faced obstacles that we can hardly even fathom today. Your fears are about not living up to your ideals, about reacting instead of acting, about failing to take advantage of the opportunities that are always within reach. A truly courageous person isn't afraid of what might or might not happen next week or next year. He fears not making the most of every moment today. In ancient Greece, the philosopher Diogenes went searching for an honest man, but he never found one. There was a time when telling a lie was considered a serious offense. Lying was a grave matter. It was just as serious if you accused someone of lying. Today, a breach of integrity in a business matter might result in calling in the lawyers. But for hundreds of years, calling someone a liar was the most common way to provoke a duel. Dishonesty was treated as a personal insult that demanded immediate redress. People understood the consequences of being caught in a lie. But today, people lie constantly without a second thought. Most know when they're being lied to, which may irritate them, but they accept it. Some might even decide to become liars themselves. Many people no longer feel a personal responsibility to pay debts promptly. Nowadays, we can delay payments as long as we only make the minimum required on our credit cards. The discomfort of handing over hard-earned money for something we purchased can be avoided. It's just as painful as paying a big bill, but now we can put off the agony. This small change in perspective reflects a larger shift in values. The way we view character, integrity, and honesty is constantly evolving, and we have a choice to shape these values rather than just accept the way things are. We often hear phrases like someone's word is as valuable as money in the bank. We talk about being held accountable, about having to answer for our actions, especially if we've done something we're not proud of. What does it feel like when you're called to account for something that makes you uncomfortable? How do you manage it? What are your choices when you're in a situation where you have to explain something that makes you uneasy? It's similar to that moment when the credit card bill arrives each month. If you aim to pay off the entire balance, it could mean some sacrifice and discomfort. You might need to brace yourself for that, knowing that your life will be easier in the long run, but the immediate payment could hurt. I think of it as paying off something like a new set of golf clubs, a brand new computer, or perhaps a yacht. I'm not sure if a yacht can be purchased with a credit card, but I've definitely known people who would try if they could. Gritting your teeth and paying the bill in full can be painful, so it often seems simpler to make the minimum payment and push the discomfort off until next month. It's tempting to send your financial troubles off into an imaginary place, like a flying carpet soaring away to the mailbox. Of course, it's not really a flying carpet, it's more like a boomerang that's going to circle back and hit you at some point. What a mess we create when we first start to deceive. Maybe you think I'm being too harsh. Am I really suggesting that in every situation you should tell the whole truth? For instance, if someone asked me, "How are you today?" am I supposed to say, "I have a sore finger, I had a headache last night, and I have a slight pain in my foot"? No, that's not exactly what I mean. In fact, I believe there are many instances where it's acceptable to bend the truth a little. However, deliberate lying with a hidden agenda, lying for personal gain, that type of dishonesty should definitely be avoided. Remember, we've talked about courage. Courage is about fearing the right things at the right time and in the right way. Fear the temptation to misrepresent yourself, who you are, or what you've done or plan to do. Trust yourself. Trust in your ability to earn others' respect. Pay whatever price the truth demands and pay it immediately. Because in the long run, the truth is a real bargain. When you're in a leadership role, whether in a business setting or leading a family, Honesty and integrity are not just as important as material things like money, shelter, or a phone. No, honesty and integrity are much more significant than any of those things. You have the power to shape how you're perceived, but know that you'll be seen in one way or another, no matter what. Leadership in a family requires even higher standards of honesty and integrity, and the stakes are much higher too. You can replace disgruntled employees or start over in a new job, but you can't just reshuffle your family like a deck of cards. It may seem easier, for consistency's sake, to argue that you should always tell the complete truth exactly as you see it in every circumstance. But from experience, I know that life is rarely so simple. Shakespeare once wrote about one of his characters, "Every man has his fault, and honesty is his." He is more honest than wise. Just as there's a difference between boasting and intentional dishonesty, there's also a distinction between lying and recognizing the role of diplomacy. So how do you tell the difference? Your gut will guide you. By the time most of us reach adulthood, I think we all have a finely tuned ethical compass built into us. We may sometimes choose to ignore it, but it's always there nonetheless. When you're in a leadership position, I believe there's one situation where you are almost always justified in bending the truth to some degree when it comes to expressing enthusiasm for your employees' work. You should focus on giving praise far more than criticism. Your approach to managing subordinates should include at least 3 parts positive feedback for every 1 part of criticism. Will stretching the truth in this way cause you to lose respect? I don't believe so. Will a little sugarcoating of your true feelings help boost productivity, improve work quality, and raise morale? Absolutely. And this isn't just opinion, it's supported by substantial research in behavioral science. Praise is one of the most effective tools for teaching and leadership. Criticism, even if deserved, is counterproductive unless all other options have been exhausted. Vince Lombardi, the legendary coach of the Green Bay Packers, certainly earned his reputation as a tough leader with strong character, but even he understood the importance of boosting people's self-esteem. Whether we call it diplomacy, psychology, or flattery, it often brings out the best in people and helps grease the wheels of human interactions. So yes, while honesty is the best policy, sometimes less than complete honesty is even better. Most of what we've discussed has been about the value of honesty and integrity in dealings with others, but now I'd like to turn our attention inward to consider what these qualities mean for your relationship with yourself. A term from clinical psychology might be useful here: cognitive dissonance. Let me explain with an example. Let's say there's a man who's an expert in personal financial planning. He earns a comfortable living advising clients on life insurance, trust funds, and mortgages, but much of his work revolves around helping people who have fallen deep into debt. He advises them to stop using credit cards, start saving, and if necessary, declare bankruptcy and begin again. Then one day, this expert announces that he's going out of business because the pressure has become too much for him. He confesses that he's behind on everything, even his car payment. After spending so much time helping others avoid financial ruin, he admits that he can't bear to look at himself in the mirror anymore. Wow. This man is experiencing a profound form of cognitive dissonance. He's trying to reconcile 2 conflicting images of himself, and it's draining his energy. He's a fundamentally good person who believes in doing the right thing, but he's living a lie, and the stress of that dissonance is breaking him down. You might be surprised by the number of high-level managers and professionals who secretly know they're presenting a false image to the world. The pressure to keep up appearances, compete with peers, and outdo themselves year after year can make it tempting to wear a mask. I'm not just talking about exaggerating your achievements or bragging. I'm talking about creating a real division between what you show the world and what you know to be your actual reality. All the world's a stage, as Shakespeare put it, and to some degree we're all playing roles. But living with honesty and integrity makes the performance much easier to manage. This is where ethics and psychology intersect. It's not just right to minimize cognitive dissonance, it's far easier on your mental well-being in the long run. We've all seen people who've advanced in life through dishonest or unethical behavior. When you're young, you might think that never happens, but as you get older, you realize that it does. At first, you think you figured it all out, but then you start to see the long-term costs of dishonesty. I've witnessed individuals who have made millions through questionable business practices, but I've also noticed a higher rate of health problems among those people than any actuary could possibly explain.